Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome, everybody, on this very warm Sunday morning. And it's only going to get better if you like hot weather. 97 degrees is the forecasted high for Tuesday. Now, here's the irony here in the New York City area anyway. By the time we get to Memorial Day, when I'm actually going down to the Jersey Shore, high around 59. Yeah, thanks for that. So it's going to reverse. It's going to go from like 95 at 95 to 59. When I need it to be warm, it won't be warm. When I really don't want it warm, it's going to be warm. But that's May for you. That's just the way this works at this point. Meanwhile, I guess just everything is blamed on Trump, right? Everything. I remember the Washington Post ran a story before a hurricane was going to hit North Carolina, the Outer Banks. And the headline was that a hurricane is about to devastate the U.S. Trump is complicit in the hurricane hitting, mind you. And their whole argument was that, well, since the Trump administration in the first term pulled out of the Paris Accords, then therefore this hurricane is hitting the U.S. and we didn't do anything about it. And if we were in the Paris Accords, then somehow we would, through, I guess, money, be able to steer the hurricane away from the U.S. and out of harm's way. Like the most ridiculous things are blamed on this guy. And now you have Kathy Hochul, New York governor, blaming the Trump administration for the Long Island Railroad strike. Wow. What? Let's see this statement. This should be a doozy. I mean, again, no one takes responsibility for anything. In California, gas prices are above $6, in some cases $7. Yes, the Iran war has driven up prices, but gas prices in California are always $2 and $3 above everywhere else in the country because of gas taxes and because of regulations and because politicians there refuse to, and it's one-party rule in California, refuse to drill off the California coast where there is ample black gold, right? But let's blame Trump. And now here you have Kathy Hochul going after Trump as far as why this is happening. And you can't honestly make this up at this point. As governor, I've been proud to make historic investments in the Long Island Railroad. Working with the MTA, we increased service by 40%, improved safety for riders and workers. Sure about that? Secured the railroad's fiscal future after the pandemic. Not really. And delivered transformative projects like the Main Line, Third Track, and Grand Central Madison. All right. But then she goes on to say this. The disruption that Long Islanders face starting tonight is the direct result of reckless actions by the Trump administration. To cut mediation short and push these negotiations towards a strike. The Trump team isn't involved in this in any way, shape, or form. What are you talking about? So, of course, Trump fired back, as he should. Quote, failed New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat, just blame me for her Long Island Railroad strike when she knows full well that I have, all quotes, nothing to do with it. Never even heard about this until this morning. She just blurted out, it's President Trump's fault. No, Kathy, it's your fault. And now looking over the facts, you should not have allowed this to happen. That's what Trump wrote on Truth Social. So he continues, by the way, if you can't solve it, let me know, and I'll show you how to properly get things done. This would be an easy one for Bruce Blakeman. He should be your next governor, and New York State would turn around fast, including far less crime and much lower taxes. Kathy, call me if you can't do it. I will get it done. I know all the players, great people. Well, there you go. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Hochul has nowhere to go on this, obviously, and this is going to affect tens of thousands, if not more, of commuters that depend on the LIRR, obviously, to get to and from the city for work. And you think you could blame Trump? It's the party that cried wolf. It's the party that cries Trump. And after a while, just like the story about the boy who cried wolf, people will stop listening. People should also stop listening to ABC News because they continue to insist that The View is actually a product of ABC News and not an unintentional comedy opinion show of unhinged hens where it's the same thing every day, just like Colbert, Kimmel, and of course The View. It's always about conservative is bad, Trump bad, and in this case, Spencer Pratt, who they had on the show not too long ago and praised the fact that he was running for Los Angeles mayor because they thought that he had no chance to win. Well, now that Spencer Pratt is within single digits of Karen Bass, according to an Emerson College poll, and the fact that the betting odds are going higher and higher on him, here we have a guy who's not so much a Republican, but a common sense guy who wants to fix a very broken city, doing these campaign ads that are absolute bangers using AI. They are effective, they are biting, and they are hilarious. And Pratt has been so effective that he debated Karen Bass and another councilman about 12 days ago and was so impressive and so dominant that an NBC News poll in Los Angeles found that 89% of people polled believed that Pratt won the debate. 89% in Los Angeles. So when they were supposed to have another debate last week, Pratt and the other councilwoman ended up backing out because they knew that there is no upside when you're going to get embarrassed again on a stage on television. So now they're just trying to run out the clock until June 2nd. And that is when the primary there happens. And unless somebody gets over 50%, which ain't going to happen, the top two finishers will go to the general. That will probably be Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass, who is at 25% approval. And when you're at 25% approval, your chances of winning ain't good, even in L.A. Anyway, Whoopi Goldberg running to the rescue of Karen Bass, who's like the Temu Kamala Harris. She's now freaked out by these campaign ads that Spencer Pratt is putting together because they use AI and they mock Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. And they've been so, again, incredibly effective and so cheap to produce that Whoopi is now scared for the future or something. Cut number 1, go.
And when your messages are so hateful or when you demonize people, then you do provoke people who are unstable and you can jeopardize people's safety.
Now, you know, I'm glad we're not showing it because it stunned me. And especially when we're talking about, we have to tone down the violence. And I mean, I was kind of freaked out by what I saw.
Freaked out. That's good, Elias.
More. But
freaked out by what you saw. And, we have to turn down the rhetoric. Tune it down, not turn it down so much. Well, this was just not too long ago where Whoopi and Sonny Hostin, speaking of toning down the rhetoric, this is where they're fantasizing which prison they hope Donald Trump would go to. Right. Cut number 2, go.
And so I think to make a point, to prove a point, put him in the clink. Oh, why not? Put him in the clink.
A third grade in class. I know the answer.
I don't want this to sound like I'm doing wishful thinking.
Yes.
No.
But which prison would be best?
I know which one.
I'm going to give you, Michael. Well, that's what I asked. Number 1 is Rikers. But, I'm okay if he goes to Alcatraz and they reopen it.
So when they're not calling him Hitler and a fascist and all these things that have led to now 3 assassination attempts against Donald Trump, now it's, I want him to go to Alcatraz. I want him to go to Rikers. And these people are going to talk to us about civility. Give me a break. Meanwhile, Harvey Levin, who is the guy who founded TMZ, this guy, I don't know his politics. I assume, he's second generation LA, probably has voted liberal in the past, but he is an example of someone who now is taking to social media and talking about how Los Angeles is completely and totally gone as far as being a city that you could live in and feel safe and feel proud to live there. And oh, by the way, is affordable. All those things obviously aren't happening. And here's Levin talking about how he's going to now endorse Spencer Pratt. And the reasons why are not about Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal, but just about common sense versus chaos. This is cut number 3. Go.
I'm not only a born and raised Los Angelino, but I'm second generation. My dad was born and raised in LA. And so this is my life. And I have seen this city just fall apart, over the last, 8, 9 years, but especially the last 4 years. That, the homeless problem is out of control in this city. I've been chased by people, a guy with a hammer, walking out of my gym. He chased me with a hammer. I had a mentally ill woman, a homeless woman, take a boulder and trash my car. And I caught her doing it. And I realized there is nothing I can do. What am I going to do? Get her arrested? I mean, what is that going to do? Am I going to sue her? So I literally looked at my car, watched her walk away, and said, I live in Los Angeles.
Wow. Yeah, what are you going to do, right? You're under arrest. Okay, great. How does that help Harvey Levin? You sue her, you're not going to get any money, right? You just got to take it. And after a while, so many people aren't going to take it. So many people are already leaving with their feet and going to places like Idaho. I was in Boise not too long ago, and they're not happy about the fact that so many Californians are moving there. But yeah, I mean, we're hearing more and more celebrities. Paris Hilton just endorsed Spencer Pratt. That's kind of cool. So I think he's got a real chance here, guys. I know the unions will come out, and then there's always the California factor of, is everything on the up and up as far as this voting is concerned? But speaking of TMZ, though, now at the same time, they tried to play gotcha with Spencer Pratt because they saw him going in and out of a hotel while he's done ads showing him in a trailer park in front of an RV that he says he's been living out of. But now lately, since he's caught fire so much in terms of the polls and possibly could win this thing, he is now receiving death threats. And that includes, obviously, wife, kids, all that. So, yes, he may have to live in a hotel sometimes because for security reasons, obviously, an RV, there is no yard, there is no gate, there is no security. And here he is going off on the fact that they tried to play gotcha with the whole hotel thing. And he makes a very, very good argument here. Cut number 5. Go.
I'm at a hotel because these psychopaths are messaging me every day. They're going to kill me because Nithya Raman is calling me a fascist because I don't want people to have their kids next to drug addicts at the park. So unfortunately, now I have a security team, and they will not, even if I wanted to stay in the Airstream, would let me because there's 360 unobstructed views since there's no houses. So you can literally snipe me out from any part from 300 yards away easily.
He's right about that. So, yeah, for his own safety and for his family, while he was living in an RV, and that's very well documented at this point, now that he is very much a public figure, and given the assassination culture, the permission slip for violence that we've seen in terms of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the 3 assassination attempts I just mentioned of President Trump, Steve Scalise nearly killed on a baseball field. Yeah, if you're Spencer Pratt, you do what's necessary to keep you and your family safe. And where else can you go with this except that he's going to get to the general after June 2nd. And then from there, you could have a Republican mayor of Los Angeles. That's how bad things have gotten. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. Beautiful Sunday morning. We're back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everyone. So we were just talking about Spencer Pratt, and at least my opinion, that he has a very good chance of being the next mayor of Los Angeles. And it's just not, you can say, all right, I don't live in LA. What do I care? Symbolically, it's a very, very big deal. If a guy who doesn't have any political experience before, who comes from a reality show, wait, this sounds very familiar. That's right. President Trump did the same thing. But honestly, to go into such a deep blue city like that and actually win just because you outworked your opponent. Obviously, these AI ads I talked about are something that will change the way campaign ads are done moving forward. And you beat this California machine that backs Karen Bass, who, again, was on the very, very short list to be Joe Biden's vice presidential pick. But he went with Kamala because I guess she's more attractive, or at least when you read certain accounts of this, that was the thought process, that one was more aesthetically pleasing on TV than the other, which, you know, that's just the way it works these days, it seems. Anyway, Bass, when asked, OK, Why do you deserve a second term? What do you want to get done in that second term? And well, here's one big priority that she will absolutely fulfill. This is cut number 11. Go.
You going to do with a second term that you weren't able to do in the first?
Well, let me just tell you, complete many of the things I've been working on. For example, we have a terrible problem in LA with copper wire theft, which means our street lights go out all the time. Well, about a month ago, I've rolled out a plan to install 60,000 solar lights, moving away from copper, and we're installing a couple of hundred a month.
You know, the homelessness and drug problem is really bad, and the taxes are among the highest in the country, and I still don't have my home back from a wildfire, but those solar traffic lights really, really are something that may change my mind and may really compel me to vote for Karen Bass. Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, here's part 2. There's another initiative that she wants to go through with, and it involves dental work. Really? Cut 12. Go.
How many people who are unhoused that you meet have no teeth at all? They don't have teeth. Why? Because meth rots your teeth. You can't succeed without teeth.
Well,
so there needs to be comprehensive health care provided to people.
Wow. You know, so if you're a, druggie, a junkie, you've used meth to the point where your teeth all have just completely fallen out. Karen Bass is saying that the government should therefore pick up the tab and give you new replacement teeth. Yep, that's where the priorities are at this point. I always love the way Mike Tyson said teeth. He used like the word F at the end instead of TH. So it's just like, I'm going to punch you in the teeth. And you're like, no, Mike, it's teeth with a TH at the end. Don't tell Mike Tyson how to say teeth. I'm sorry. I do the worst Tyson. I just had to do that. Some of you laughed. Admit it. Oh, boy. Meanwhile, before we go to break, I love this. If we could fit it in, guys. Eddie Murphy with Johnny Carson. This is 1982. Talking about the difference between blacks and whites when it comes to ghosts in their house. I think this is awesome. Cut 14, go.
You're probably getting tired of this question, but you've had such amazing success in a short time. How has it changed? Have you changed your whole lifestyle outside of a few new duds?
I'm moving out of my house.
Yeah,
but it's not because of it's a ghost in my house. That's why I'm moving.
A ghost?
Yes.
Does he talk or you just?
Because blacks aren't like whites with the ghosts.
I didn't know that. What's
they
the
aren't
difference?
like whites?
No.
I was watching Poltergeist on cable.
Yeah.
And I noticed that y'all just stay in the house when the house is haunted. And we leave.
You leave.
And I'm leaving because an old Jewish man died in my house.
Yeah.
It's very unnerving. You'd be in the house, you hear, moo! Get off my lawn, you schwatzer.
It's time to clap.
And that, my friends, is what late night used to be. And now this week it was Carson and Letterman saying FCBS to end the show. Yeah, that's hilarious, guys. Thanks. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Yes, back with so much more in just a moment.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el Jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So there are literally hundreds of people in Congress, right? And many you'll never hear of. They go about their jobs. They don't get on TV all that much. Maybe they're, not many, obviously, but maybe they're just common sense. Maybe they don't seek the attention. Then there are others that are common sense and don't necessarily seek the attention, but more and more cameras are seeking them. And I think in this case, Brandon Gill fits the bill. He is a congressman out of Texas. He's extremely intelligent. He is very meticulous in terms of his prep, especially during hearings. He doesn't get emotional, lose his temper. There's no performative aspect to him that at least is overt anyway. And here he is just calmly explaining immigration, what the founders intended it to be for the United States and what it has become. And again, I think this guy, I know I've said this about Marco Rubio, obviously J.D. Vance. I think Brandon Gill, who's still, I believe, late 30s, early 40s, could be a major figure one day and maybe even president, because he's just so comfortable in his own skin and really knows how to make an argument and seems to have his priorities in check. This is cut number 8. Go.
The melting pot simply isn't melting. That's a problem. The foreign-born population is about as high as it's ever been in American history. What is the purpose of an immigration system? The purpose of our immigration system is to benefit our people. Historically, American immigration was predicated on 2 key ideas. One of those was you cannot be what's called a public burden. In other words, you can't come into the country and immediately hop on welfare and expect the American people to pay for your food and your housing, your health care, and everything else. The second was a concept of cultural assimilation. You were expected to come into the United States and to become fully American, not a hyphenated American. You're expected to adopt our customs, our core beliefs, revere our heritage, just like we do. Part of the rationale behind drastically reducing legal immigration as well as illegal immigration is allow that assimilation to actually occur, for people to actually melt and recohere as an American society.
That is the best description of immigration I have ever heard. The music's annoying. I don't like on social media. Sometimes people put these things together, and I don't know what the purpose of that was. But yeah, it's all about assimilation. You're going to learn the language. You're going to fit into our culture. You're not going to be this hyphen culture. And now we see in New York City just this week again, Jews being attacked by those carrying Hezbollah and Hamas flags, and the mayor and Mamdani just putting out boilerplate statements. The guy runs to a camera every chance he can. He puts out 18 social media videos a day, it feels like, on Instagram. But nope, can't do a video on that decrying this. And obviously his wife has made her feelings very, very well known about what she thought about October 7th and the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, liking tweets that were celebrating what Hamas did on that horrible day. So just putting that out there. Anyway, you compare this, obviously, to the current frontrunner for the Democratic nomination. That's not Gavin Newsom. It's AOC does lead in one poll that we talked about this week. But Kamala Harris, if you just look at the aggregate, seems to be the frontrunner right now. Again, it's only May of 2026. We get that completely. But she is more and more becoming active in terms of going to swing states like Nevada and North Carolina. Now she's doing videos that this is downright disturbing. I talked about it with Katz and Cosby on Friday, but worth expanding on. She is talking about doing a brainstorming idea session, and these are the things that Democrats want to do if they gain back power. I've been talking about this for a long time, and I thought they'd be a little bit more subtle about it, bait and switch. Nope, they are just brazenly saying we are going to radically change this country and make sure that one-party rules in perpetuity, and that, of course, being the Democrat Party. This is cut number 16. Go.
Say, look, this is a moment where there are no bad ideas. A no bad idea brainstorm is what I'd like to call it. And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around the Electoral College. Oh. We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court. We invite a conversation about multi-members districts. We talk about, look, that if we win the Senate, which we should and we will, let's talk about statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C. These are the things I think that we've got to do.
Oh, boy. Okay. You hear the first part? Go around the Electoral College? Oh, so Democrats can run up the score in places like, I don't know, Chicago and Minneapolis and Seattle and New York, and states like Iowa, New Hampshire, Georgia. I go down the line as far as smaller states that have different needs. Nevada, Arizona. Nope. They'll just be campaigning all in big cities and just hoping that, okay, if I get enough of the popular vote, that's how I win. That is not what the framers intended, certainly. But, Democrats see the writing on the wall on this. I've talked about this before. I'll say it again. Since there's such huge population shifts from places like New York, Illinois, Minnesota, and California to places like South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, and Texas, the last 4 states I just named, red states, Florida, Texas, South Carolina, Tennessee, also Idaho as well, Utah as well, all are going to gain electoral college votes, while California and Minnesota, Illinois, New York are all going to lose electoral votes, making it very, very difficult for a Democrat ever to win again, because they would have to start winning some red states on top of, even if they win Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, purple states. And that's something that, given how far left they're going, it just ain't going to happen. So they know the only way they could win presidential contests starting in 2032 is by eliminating the electoral college, which, again, that's radical. Expanding the Supreme Court from 9 to 15. So the next time a Democrat is in office, they add six judges. There's currently 9. And then turn it into something that looks like the New York Knicks roster. Okay, great. That's going to be a big problem as well. And obviously adding D.C. and Puerto Rico, which D.C. has a population maybe of 700,000. And Puerto Rico, look, those are blue areas, and that will add 4 U.S. senators. All in the name of saving democracy by blowing the whole effing thing up. That's what Kamala Harris is forecasting. And I guess Kamala's trying to take a more serious approach, because during the 2024 campaign, she would do, at least attempt to do stand-up comedy. And when you're laughing the hardest at your own jokes, that means the joke probably isn't landing. But nonetheless, here's Kamala with a little assist from the Seinfeld soundtrack in cut number 17. Go.
So you know how those lids are, because this is, well, I'm just going to speak, okay? So this is it.
Yeah.
So you know how those lids on those Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings, if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid.
Oh, my.
So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid?
Cackle. Big cackle. And a clap.
So that was that conversation.
Well, yeah. What can you really say? Your 2028 nominee, everybody. This would be a very, very, very bad idea. You don't want to run this person now. This would be the 3rd time she'll attempt to be president. And in 2020, when she ran, didn't even get to 2020. In 2024, didn't win one swing state. All right. You want to run her again? And then she's on the campaign trail for 2 years where you really get to know her again? No, they can't go down that road. That is certainly for sure. But when the other alternatives are AOC and Gavin Newsom, well, I don't know. Kind of a, what's the old saying? The tallest midget in the room kind of scenario. Yeah, that's the way that's going to work. Meanwhile, you got to love these guys. Jim Acosta and Don Lemon, 2 people that managed to get fired from CNN, which is really, really hard to do. I mean, I've said it once, I'll say it again. And Jeffrey Toobin literally pleasured himself on a Zoom call in front of female employees and did not get fired for doing that. I mean, he should have got the shaft. And I guess in some way he did. But the point is that Acosta and Lemon, now they do these podcasts from their homes, and they just interview each other because, most sane people won't appear with guys like that. Maybe, let me think about this. AOC went on Don Lemon's podcast. Like, you'll get fringe people like that. You'll get people like Kathy Griffin or Rosie O'Donnell. Like, it's not even D-list. It's somewhere around like, P-list type of people on these shows. Here's Acosta and Lemon talking about how, and this totally has happened, I'm certain of it, that people come up to him on the street all the time and say they refuse to watch CNN anymore because they're not on there, damn it. Cut number 18, go.
Do you know how many people, I'm sure you do, as a matter of fact, I shouldn't ask that question, every day who tell me, I don't watch CNN anymore. I'm like, why? They're like, I don't know what happened to them.
I know. I hear it all the time.
Light. I'm like,
I hear it all the time. I know.
Yeah.
And that's not to brag. It's just what I hear. I'm at the airport. Oh, I miss seeing you. I'm missing you and Don. They'll mention Don to me many times, Don. And people miss the way CNN used to be when we were calling them out on January 6th. When we were calling out Trump.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You look at the ratings, and the ratings are completely unchanged since Jim Acosta and Don Lemon left. Also, another little tidbit. All right. Not a lot of people know this. Okay. Or maybe they do. Actually, it's a pretty obvious thing. Don and Jim's coworkers did not like them, like, at all. Because obviously they made every story about themselves. So when Acosta and Lemon say people tell me they never watch CNN anymore because we're not on here. How do you think the people that are still there feel about that? Right? So have fun in your kitchens, guys, and your ridiculous podcasts, along with Katie Couric, Terry Moran, Chuck Todd, all these people that were big deals, or at least portrayed themselves as big deals in journalism, just asking serious questions and speaking truth to power, are now relegated to this nonsense, patting themselves on the back. Meanwhile, if you could believe it, Seinfeld, we just played kind of a Seinfeld clip. It was actually a real stand-up routine from Kamala Harris with the Seinfeld music behind. Did you know that show went off the air 28 years ago this week? I believe the final number, I got to look it up, and I'm going to stall here while I am. I want to say it was somewhere in the range of 58 million. So let's see what the Google machine says. Whoa, way off on that one, Joe. 76.3 million watched the final episode of Seinfeld in May of 1988. That was on May 14th. So we're talking 3 days ago and 28 years. Fourth most watched television series finale in U.S. history. The three, I got two of these, but the third one did not see that coming. I never saw the show. I guess it was before my time. MASH went off the air, I want to say like 1981. And that was, I think, more than 90 million. Cheers also was somewhere in the 85 million range. I mean, think of these numbers for a second. And then The Fugitive also had more than 76 million people. So that is just utterly remarkable. And at one point, Seinfeld and Cheers were on the same night. Talk about must-see TV. It's great stuff. Anyway, before we go to break, here is... Now, we could talk about Jerry, we could talk about Elaine, we could talk about Cosmo, we could talk about George, right? But the peripheral characters really helped make this show. And Newman was one of my favorites, especially the rivalry. He, as a postal worker that lived down the hall from Jerry, the confrontations that they had were outstanding. And it was mostly Newman carrying this grudge. But anyway, here is Newman begging Jerry to take him on a private jet to Paris. This was in the final episode. And after Jerry rejects him, this is classic Wayne Knight, classic Newman. Cut number 9, go.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Newman.
Oh, Newman.
What gives?
I was speaking earlier with Kramer, and he mentioned something about a private jet to Paris.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I hear it's quite beautiful there this time of year, and of course you know I'm 1/4 French.
Really?
Oh, yes. In fact, I still have family there. This probably won't interest you, but I have a cousin there who's suffering very badly.
Oh.
She's lost all use of her muscles. She can only communicate by blinking. I would so love to see her, bring a ray of sunshine into her tragic life. But alas, I can't afford it, for I am, as you know, but a simple postal worker.
That's a shame.
Take me! Take me!
Oh, forget it! Pull yourself together! You're making me sick! Be a man!
All right! But hear me and hear me well. The day will come. Oh, yes. Mark my words, Seinfeld. Your day of reckoning is coming, when an evil wind will blow through your little play world and wipe that smug smile off your face. And I'll be there in all my glory, watching as it all comes tumbling down.
Oh, I can watch that a billion times. That's great acting. That's like Broadway kind of performance there. And again, 28 years ago. How old are we getting? When Seinfeld went off the air to 76.3 million people. That's an insane number. Anyway, I am Joe Concha. It's insane how fast this show has gone. And we wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So I've made this argument before, but I think there's very few people of common sense on the left, but two of them I seem to name on a consistent basis are Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania and Bill Maher of HBO. Here he is scolding Democrats on simply not defending Jews. And again, this goes on for a minute, but you tell me what's wrong with anything that he says here. Cut number 20, go.
Jew hatred isn't just acceptable now, it's cool. Celebrities love it and make it trendy. It's the new Che Guevara t-shirt. The Islamophobia is just as bad argument is simply a false equivalency. Can you name a Jewish professor who talks about Muslims the way they get talked about? No. Anti-Jewish crimes, hate crimes, now outpace anti-Muslim hate crimes 9-1. It's not a contest, and I'm certainly not saying do more of the other. I'm just saying these are the numbers, the facts, the reality. There is a frothing anxiousness for the literal extermination of this one group. And Democrats, where are you? If any other minority group was being talked about this way, you'd break out the kente cloth and have 10 benefit concerts. But because you see that so many of your brainwashed by TikTok constituents now have an unfavorable view of Israel, you indulge them when you should be correcting them.
Precisely. And that's the thing. Democrats are scared of the growing anti-Semitic base that they have. I mean, look at Kamala Harris in 2024. Should have picked Josh Shapiro in a heartbeat. Popular governor of a purple state like Pennsylvania, a state you need to win. And she goes with goofy Tim Walz instead, jazz hands, because they were afraid that that would offend voters in places like Dearborn, Michigan, who are largely Muslim. And that just was not going to happen to have a Jew on the ticket. And again, stone silence from almost everybody in terms of what's happening in places, especially like New York, where Jewish kids can't even walk to a synagogue without being attacked. You should have every Democrat in front of a microphone saying, this is wrong. This cannot happen in this country. And they are silent. Somebody who should stay silent is Arizona climate professor Guy McPherson. We uncovered this because this is, we're celebrating a lot of anniversaries today on the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. In 2016, he predicted, this climate professor, again, a guy who teaches at the University of Arizona, all right? So on a college level where you're paying $45,000, $50,000 a year for your kid to sit in a class with this maniac, says, by the year 2026, there won't be a human left on the planet. Whoops, cut number 4, go.
The situation is far worse than it was then.
Okay. How much time does the human race have?
I can't imagine there will be a human on the planet in 10 years. I suspect it'll be...
No, I'm sorry. Did you say 10 years?
Yes, in my out loud voice even. Yes, I can't... we're headed for a temperature within that span that is at or near the highest temperature experienced on Earth in the last 2 billion years.
Well, I'm still here. Are you still here? Everything okay? It's a little warm today, but I'm pretty sure that it's not at its highest in 1 billion years. And again, this guy taught kids at Arizona. He's now still a professor there, but like a emerist or whatever they call that when you're like a professor, but only you show up once in a while. Still, geez. That's just some scary stuff. Before we go, also scary, Graham Plattner saying his Nazi tattoo is actually just really skull and crossbones as one big misunderstanding. This is cut number 7, go.
I want to come back to something that we mentioned at the top, which is something else that happened during your time in the Middle East. And that is, of course, that you got a tattoo.
Well, that was in Croatia.
That was in Croatia, but it was during this period then when you were serving.
2007.
Right.
All right.
And it resembles Nazi insignia.
Yeah, it's a skull and crossbones. I got a skull and crossbones with a bunch of other Marines in a tattoo parlor in Croatia because skull and crossbones are things that Marines get. And then I had it for 17 years.
Oh, had it. But then he got it removed. If it's just a skull and crossbones, why, Graham Plattner, did you get it removed unless it was a Nazi tattoo? And again, this is what Democrats are now embracing. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC have all endorsed Graham Plattner, the guy with the Nazi tattoo, for Senate in Maine. Anti-Semitism be damned. And, oh, by the way, the guy's also a communist, a guy who also applauded Hamas for killing some of Israeli soldiers not too long ago. But yeah, again, this is where that party's heading. And it's a very, very dark place. And by the way, a loser in the end. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.